In this video, we'll look at editorials in question bank for 17th October 2016. The two editorials in the Hindu newspaper. The first one is Cool the World. This is regarding the amendment to the Montreal Protocol, which was recently finalized at Kigali, the capital of Rwanda. So these negotiations have been going on for the last 7 years, and finally now an agreement has come through. So that is appreciated. Montreal Protocol of 1987 was a protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer, which was a protocol to the Vienna Convention on ozone depleting substances again. So this Montreal Protocol is said to be the most successful global treaty on environment. So that has been possible because ozone hole was clearly evident. So this earlier, though there were resistance to the idea that ozone depletion is taking place, but evidence was put forth and people and governments agreed and came together, decided targets, and they have been adhered to, and chlorofluorocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons have been eliminated. Basically, at least their phasing out has taken place. Elimination will take time because they still persist in the environment. So these are persistent organic pollutants. So now the thing is that this was also through amendment. Chlorofluorocarbon was initially targeted and hydrochlorofluorocarbons. Now one important point to remember here is that CFCs and HCFCs are both ozone depleting substances because they contain chlorine. Chlorofluorocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons. So CFCs, HCFCs are ozone depleting substances because chlorine makes a reaction with ozone. Ozone is O3. So this ozone, then it becomes chlorine oxide and oxygen. So that reaction, it's very reactive. So reactions take place and these ozone depletion occurs. But then in case of HFCs, hydrofluorocarbons, there is no chlorine. So this is not an ozone depleting substance, but still an agreement was finalized presently few days back to phase out this because this was used as a replacement to CFCs and HCFCs. But then this as a replacement is good because it is not ozone depleting, but the thing is that it is a greenhouse gas and as potent as other greenhouse gases, much more potent than carbon dioxide, multiple times. So now the Montreal Protocol has decided to target HFCs. So HFCs will be phased out. This has been done through a complete plan which has been approved. 3 groups of countries have been formed. One group of rich countries like USA, European countries, and another group of countries like China, Brazil, and African countries, and there's a third group which will have the maximum time frame to implement this Montreal Protocol requirements, and that India comes in the third category. So we have been given time till 2028. So that will be the time when we'll start freezing HFCs. Till that time we can use. For second category it is 2024. But you have to freeze by 2024. For the first category, developed countries, it is 2018. And then phasing out, freezing and then eliminating also. So there are targets for that. India is given more time under it. So even for this, we are falling behind China and Brazil, yet it says India has taken initiatives targeting even HFC 23, for which India has ordered its manufacturers to phase out, to capture and dispose it off at their own cost. So even capital or monetary assistance will not be provided because in India this industry is still developing. So that is the reason why we are in the third category too, because this chlorofluorocarbons, all these compounds are used in refrigerants and coolants. So this has not penetrated or developed to that extent in India. So our emissions right now are negligible. But then we are a developing country and over the time frame we'll have this industry developing and these emissions are bound to take place. So then we cannot be blamed or we cannot make a stop to our development right now because of these commitments. So that is the reason why India is justly placed in that category also. Plus, of course, there is a binding agreement under this too that developed countries have to provide assistance, monetary assistance to capital as well as greener technology. So technological assistance also has to be provided by them. Then only this is possible. So it also speaks, the editorial says that for making our Make in India program successful, it has to take in green technologies also along with it. Otherwise, it will not work. So that's what an initiative taken. Though it is delayed for India, it has already taken an initiative and asking manufacturers to capture and dispose of HFC 23 is appreciable. So that is about it. This image is given here. You can just take a look at over here too. This is about the Montreal Protocol success, that phasing out. If no protocol would be there, then the emissions would be here, but they peaked in 1990s and then they are slowly reducing. So that is the success of Montreal Protocol. That is chlorine concentration graph. Then this is about the timeline of Montreal Protocol. 1987 it started, then phasing out of HALON, CFCs, and how countries met the goals, that is shown here. HCFCs phased out, and now they have also targeted HFCs. That is in 2016. So that is about the HCFC's emissions here too. Again, that will be also 100% reduction will take place by 2040 because they persist. Go phased out but still persist in the environment. Then the next editorial is on quick exit in Kerala. So this is actually not important, just a gist of it. As you can see that the Left Democratic Front government in Kerala came under pressure because one of its ministers, industry minister, was framed under charges of nepotism. So these nepotism means giving jobs to your relatives or friends. So partial to them in jobs, employment. So this has been highlighted in the media also, and he has been asked to step down. The industries minister has stepped down. So it's okay. The political tension has been diffused. So that is the news. It's not important for us. That's okay. Then going to the question bank. The question bank for 17th October, now the articles in today's paper on the perspective page and lead article. Lead article is on Kairana case. Now this lead article will not give you much substance, or no question can be expected or framed from this directly. So it's not important, but whatever was there we have already discussed in news when the NHRC report came, National Human Rights Commission. So Kairana in Uttar Pradesh is a place where there are claims that Hindus exodus is taking place, means Hindus are fleeing that region because the Muslims are coming in and settling there and changing the demographic of the region. So this basically is refuted because Kairana by itself is a Muslim majority town. It has more than 80% Muslims. So now even if few thousand Muslims have come, which is true because they have been persecuted and they have fled from Muzaffarnagar and Shamli, Muzaffarabad and Shamli regions which have been affected by riots. So they have fled from those regions and come and settled elsewhere. They have been there in refugee camps also. So that if they are settling there, that does not actually change the demographic. And many people who have been inquired by the media, because the BJP leader came up with a complete list that these are the people who fled. So when they were contacted, they said that the reasons were different for leaving. The whole issue was fine, it was all political until NHRC, which is National Human Rights Commission, an independent regulatory body, which came up with this independent, it's not independent body, not regulation, but yes, it's an independent body, non-constitutional, but having the stature, it's a statutory body. So this body talking of exodus has been slammed down by the media. And rightly so, because it does not mention anything about the riot victims, but it only mentions about the exodus of few hundreds of people. So, and compared to thousands of people, 50 to 75,000 people were displaced in the riots, and they are majorly Muslims almost. So this is the controversy. So that political hue coming on an independent body is not like it. But still, anyway, it's not important from exam perspective. So we are not having a question and discussing it in detail. The next article is on, one is on media. That again, it does not give much content. There's not much content in it. That it actually talks of that media criticizes or covers up about the three estates means legislature, executive and judiciary. But the fourth estate, which is the media, is not covered. But still there's no much content in it, so it's of no use. Then one more is on again the Nobel Prize for Literature given to Bob Dylan, which is not important for us. So the only one article which is important is this on climate change, which is on the Paris Climate Agreement again. So we'll discuss this. The question which we have framed is, it was announced recently that the Earth's atmosphere has exceeded 400 parts per million of carbon dioxide. How far will Paris Climate Agreement be successful in capping carbon dioxide emissions? What transformational changes are required at individual, local, national and international levels to counter this? So your answer should be much more comprehensive than only the content of this article. You can talk of all aspects, even the Montreal Protocol which we just discussed in editorial can be put in here also, because that is also an international initiative. So first, talking about the Paris Climate Agreement, recently the news has come that EU has also ratified Paris Climate Agreement. So the minimum requirement which was there, that at least 55% of greenhouse gas emission countries pass it, that has been met. So now it will come into effect in November 2016. So under this Paris Agreement, a difference from Kyoto Protocol is that it has responsibility put on all countries. In Kyoto Protocol, responsibility was only on Annex 1 countries, means on developed countries. So that is not the case here. And another thing is that it is voluntary. You yourself declare your nationally determined contributions, that how will you contribute to clean energy. So that has been another positive aspect. There are no imposed conditions, but you decide your conditionalities, you decide your targets. So that is there. Another meeting will also take place in November 2016 at Marrakesh. So that is there. And of course it is binding on the countries, but then India has already declared in its nationally determined contributions that these contributions will come forth depending on two aspects. One is capital, financial assistance being given from developed countries, and second is through technology, green technology being provided to us. Then only we can meet our targets. So it is conditional targets that is there. And of course it is mandated that 100 million have to be provided annually by developed countries for this capping carbon emissions. So that is about Paris Climate Agreement. This is also, again, you can see detailed out how it is planned, how financing would come, $100 billion from 2020 onwards every year, which countries have to provide. Then this is about the temperature, which it targets that it should keep warming well below 2 degrees Celsius and try to bring it up to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So that is there. And then continue to take the lead, developed countries, that is there. Emission objectives by 2050, rapid reduction, that is fine. Burden sharing, both countries are involved, and review mechanisms. So these nationally determined contributions, they will be reviewed. So every 5 years, but this will start from 2023 onwards. It will also come into force in 2020. So that is about Paris Agreement. The next aspect is about carbon dioxide emissions. So it's saying that Earth's atmosphere has exceeded 400 parts per million of carbon dioxide emissions recently. So this news came up, a study came up recently and showed we have already crossed. So they are still going upward. Since industrial evolution, the emissions have been going up. So now a small annual fluctuations, even it is said that Paris Agreement may not be able to reach its target. Here you can see that also. So greenhouse gas emissions which are considered safe are 350 to 400. So we have already peaked now. So average global temperature rise up to 1.5 degrees Celsius and 2 degrees Celsius is the target under Paris Climate Agreement too. But then it seems even with the current nationally determined contributions of all countries, we are not going to reach that threshold. So that is also seen. If countries don't follow, it will go up to 4.5 degrees Celsius. If they follow, then it will go to 3.6 degrees Celsius. And if they follow even the Paris agreements, not the present policies, but new policies as decided under the Paris Agreement, which they have decided, NDCs, then also it will go up to 2.7 degrees Celsius, much higher than the 2 degrees Celsius global temperature rise targeted by Paris Agreement. So that is seen. And transformational change is required. That's what it speaks of, that climate change requires not little tinkering, but transformational changes in all sections. Economic, technological developments are required. It will actually, what we require now are net zero emissions, means emissions taking place and then recapturing and eliminating them also. So that is net zero emissions, because we have already reached 400 parts per million. So that is the reason, and it says in the last 3 years, global emissions which were rising at 4% per year have now slowed to 1%. But still it is not sufficient, and all countries should come together. There is an example given of eco-villages and transition villages, transition towns. These are regions where people themselves declare that we will use only renewable energy, and they have a complete track of all their emissions. They use such technologies which do not result in emissions. So such initiatives have to be promoted. So these are initiatives even at local level, national level. We see nationally determined contributions also, which, and they have all other contributions. You can look at INDCs once again too, right? And international.